Good morning, everybody. I hope you enjoy the new video angle and direction. Hopefully you get all the Easter eggs that are here. If you are a friend of mine for any number of years, I want you to look and see what stuff points out. The first thing that is probably going to be pointed out as you listen to Runn'd rambling is this sign. The sign says, "I was wrong." And this is one of my favorite pieces of decor in my office. It is a good reminder of a few things. Number one was my older brother was wrong. I love it. He made this sign actually because he promised that if I ever grew taller than him, he would make a sign saying he was wrong. And he even autographed it there. You probably cannot make that out. But anyhow, it's a great reminder, mostly to me, to stay humble and to admit whenever I've been wrong. If you've known me for any number of years, you've known I've been wrong about lots of things. Some big, some small, some consequential, some inconsequential. But I hang this up in my office and I have it around as a reminder to myself, be humble. Sometimes we think we know everything and we do not. This morning I was reading in Luke 7, and I want to just highlight the verses that I read. I'm making my way through the Bible cover to cover, and I've made it to Luke. Luke chapter 6, actually not 7. I read 7 as well, but Luke chapter 6. But to you who are listening, I say, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who mistreat you. If someone slaps you on the cheek, turn to them the other also. If someone takes your coat, do not withhold your shirt from them. Give to everyone who asks of you. And if anyone takes what belongs to you, do not demand it back. Do to others as you would have them do to you. If you love those who love you, what credit is that for you? Even sinners love those who love them. And if you do good to those who are good to you, what credit is that to you? Even sinners do that. And if you lend to those whom you expect repayment, what credit is that from you? Even sinners lend, expecting to be repaid in full. But love your enemies, do good to them, and lend to them without expecting to get anything back. Then your reward will be great, and you will be children of the Most High, because He is kind to the ungrateful and wicked. Be merciful, just as your Father is merciful. Do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, will be poured into your lap. For with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. He also told them this parable, can the blind lead the blind? Will they not both fall into a pit? The student is not above the teacher, but everyone who is fully trained will be like their teacher. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, brother, let me take the speck out of your eye? For when you yourself fail to see the plank in your own eye, you hypocrite, first take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck in your brother's eye. This week we saw a horrible, unjustifiable murder of a public figure in an open space. I don't see any space for that inside of Christianity. I don't see any space inside of that inside of any society that wants to call itself civil or human. And so as I read Scripture, I think we condemn murder as murder and is wrong. And so I want to first just point out, pray for the family of anyone involved in any tragedy. Don't use tragedies to try to prop your side up. It is a terrible thing that Charlie Kirk got shot, whether you agree with him or whether you don't agree with him. And if you want to have any further thoughts or share further feelings about these things, know that oftentimes public media is not the best place, because anytime you put something out publicly you can be responded to. But I would love to have conversations with lots of people over lots of different things. I'd love to comfort those people who need comforting and point people to Scripture who need to be pointed to Scripture. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this podcast talking about current events, trying to put my opinion about huge, important matters politically or culturally out there. I don't think that people really want to tune in to me to give those opinions. Those are coffee conversations or lunchtime conversations or conversations on a run or a walk, which leads to just an update. I know for the 3 people that watched my video last week, you know that I took a rough fall. I chipped my tooth, which you can kind of tell. I skinned my hands up, skinned my knees up. I'm healing fairly well, though the fingers, you can kind of tell there's still some wounds there. It hurts terrible anytime I touch them against stuff. Doing the dishes, putting my hands in the pockets, it's rough. But my brother, who said I was wrong, he was a mechanic. And I know he busted his hands up just as bad. My dad's had some pretty bad bicycle accidents, had worse road rash than me, so I'm thankful that I am only as bad as I am. So, my friend Bruce Heller likes to post top 5s that nobody asked for, so I'm going to give a version of that. I'm going to give a first team all podcast and a second team all podcast. People ask me frequently what podcasts I listen to and what I would advise. So here's going to be my top 5, and then I'm going to give a second statement of top 5, then I'll give some honorable mentions. So first off, the podcast that I listen to almost every week, every single time I can. So the Holy Post podcast, hosted by Phil Vischer, Sky Jitani, and Caitlin Shess. Listen to it every week. They have outstanding guests, and I really appreciate how they engage with culture and content from their different educational and life perspectives. The next would be the Bible Project. If you have any desire to dig deeper into Scripture, the Bible Project is fantastic. They have also a Sunday school curriculum called the Gospel Project. They put out incredible videos. The scholarship is excellent, and it's really, even as someone who has a Master of Divinity degree and an undergraduate in Bible, it is astounding me as they're pointing me to just more and more beautiful things in Scripture. The third would be the On Point podcast, which would be the On Point with it's an NPR news special. I frequently listen to it. I think it's very well done. They interview people from many different angles for their deep dives into a topic. That would lead then to the fourth podcast, which is the Good Faith podcast, and that ties in next with the Russell Moore podcast. Those would be excellent just for thinking through current events theologically. Now, the honorable mentions that I have would be No Stupid Questions, Think Biblically by the Talbot School of Theology, New Books in History, and then a History of English podcast, and then the Deep End with Lecrae. You can probably see a trend in what I listen to, which is where my honorable mention that I have just a hard time really saying this is the same tier as these other. It's hard to put things on the same tier as the Bible Project or Think Biblically or New Books in History. But I frequently listen to the Dallas Mavericks daily podcast, which is a terrible time to forget the Locked On Mavericks podcast, and then occasionally the Step Back. Though, as someone pointed out recently in a group text for a fantasy basketball league, ever since Dallas traded Luka Doncic, it's been really hard to care deeply about the NBA, but that's a conversation for a long run, if you ever want to go on a long run with me. Now, just final thoughts, final ramblings. If you live in any location, dig deep into the local history. It's really astounding. So, our church hosts a once-a-month group, senior citizens group, called Heart Shapers, and a local historian, more of a journalist, but I would call him a local historian. He spoke on the Battle of Fallen Timbers, which is a local battle that happened, and we think we know history, and then someone says, this is the third most consequential battle in American history, and it happened within 5 miles of here. And you go, what? And then they talk about the history of it and how historical misconceptions and everything else, and it was really fun and challenging. So I just want to tell everyone, go find the local historian in your area and find out stuff. We're going to try to find out about the local history of the Underground Railroad. We're going to ask so many different questions over the next few months, and it is incredible to think about that. Shout out to everyone who is just pushing through the week, trying to be faithful, trying to be a good Christian, trying to be a good parent, trying to be a good spouse. Keep it up. It's not easy. Living faithfully in this world is hard. Keep your eyes on Jesus. Don't throw stones in a glass house. Point people to Jesus. And know that I definitely want to continue to do this podcast. I want people to ask me the random questions. That's why I gave you guys the podcast that I listen to. At some point in time, I might be tech savvy enough to link those into the description. But as for now, have a great weekend. Show love to people. As Scripture says, mourn with people who mourn. Rejoice with people who rejoice. Find ways to help people smile and laugh in this world. And find ways to wrap your arms around them in comfort. And in all things, stay humble and be willing to admit I was wrong if you were ever wrong.